Teresa Giudice served federal prison time, her ex-husband Joe got deported, and now their 20-year-old daughter Milania has been arrested on assault charges with the case marked domestic violence and confidential. A high-powered New Jersey attorney just entered the case. The Giudice family's legal history just grew by one more chapter. The Giudice family has never been strangers to legal drama. Teresa went to federal prison, Joe got deported to Italy, and now, in June 2026, it's the next generation's turn. Milania Giudice, the third daughter of Real Housewives of New Jersey star Teresa Giudice, was arrested last month on assault charges in Montville Township, New Jersey. And since the arrest became public, the details coming out have been layered, confusing, and considerably more serious than the initial reporting suggested. A high-powered attorney is now in the picture, the family is completely silent, and the case is sealed as domestic violence and confidential, which means we're piecing this together from sources, court records, and a lot of reading between the lines. Let's break down everything we know. On May 14, 2026, at 6:12 in the evening, Montville Township Police Department officers responded to a report of a dispute at a residence in town. When they arrived, they detained Milania Giudice, 20 years old, who had recently finished her sophomore year at the University of Tampa, according to a statement provided to Fox News Digital by Police Chief Andrew Caggiano. The investigation resulted in Milania being charged on a summons complaint with one count of simple assault in violation of New Jersey Statute 2C-1012-1A1, a disorderly person's offense, along with purposely or knowingly causing bodily injury. She pleaded not guilty and was released pending her upcoming court appearance, which court records indicate is expected sometime next month. Montville Township Municipal Court confirmed to TMZ that Milania's arrest file is marked as domestic violence and confidential in nature. That designation is significant and shapes everything about how this case is being handled. In New Jersey, domestic violence cases are sealed differently from standard criminal matters. The identity of the alleged victim is protected. The details of the incident are not part of the public record. This is why, weeks after the arrest became public knowledge, nobody has been able to confirm definitively who was hurt, what triggered the confrontation, or exactly what Milania is alleged to have done beyond the basic charge language of simple assault and purposely or knowingly causing bodily injury. The identity of the complainant has been one of the most discussed mysteries since the arrest was first reported by the U.S. Sun. Court records do not identify an alleged victim or provide any details about what led to the charge. But here's the detail that's generated the most conversation. According to court documentation reviewed by multiple outlets, the complainant listed on the case is actually a police officer, not a family member. That means when police arrived at the residence, something happened between Milania and law enforcement that resulted in an officer being listed as the person who made the official complaint. Whether that means Milania's alleged assault was directed at an officer, or whether the officer is listed as complainant because of how New Jersey domestic violence procedures work, remains unclear. Sources have been working overtime trying to fill in the blanks the official record won't provide. One source quoted in Reality Blurb claimed that Milania was involved in a conflict with one of her sisters, and that Luis Ruelas, Teresa's husband, reportedly intervened and attempted to calm the situation and had to physically restrain her. Another insider told In Touch that people close to the show believe Luis himself may have been the target of the altercation, though that has not been confirmed by anyone on record. A third account said there was an explosive fight in the house where things escalated, and that her sister called the cops out of fear for people's safety and for the fact that Milania was going at multiple people. That specific detail, if accurate, would explain why law enforcement became involved and why the domestic violence designation was applied. What makes this situation particularly complicated is the Luis Ruelas factor. Luis has been a controversial presence in the Giudice household since he and Teresa married in August 2022. There have been ongoing tensions between him and Teresa's daughters that have been hinted at throughout their relationship. The fact that multiple sources immediately pointed toward Luis when speculating about what happened, whether as someone who intervened or potentially as someone involved in what triggered the altercation, reflects how his position in the household has been perceived by those watching closely. The question of whether Teresa's life would be better without Luis has been raised by fans and insiders for years, and Milania's arrest has reignited those conversations with new urgency. Now for the legal move that just changed everything. On June 18, 2026, the U.S. Sun confirmed that Milania Giudice has retained attorney Alan Kreminski of Kreminski Law to represent her in the domestic violence-related case. Kreminski is not a general practice attorney who handles a little of everything. He is a specialist whose firm specifically highlights successfully defended criminal and domestic defense cases. Hiring Kreminski signals that the Giudice camp is treating this with maximum legal seriousness. Meanwhile, the silence from the family has been total. Teresa hasn't addressed it publicly. Milania Giudice, who had no problem calling Next Gen Nicey castmate Ava nasty in a recent interview, has said nothing about her sister's legal situation. Gabriella has been silent. Adriana, at 16, the youngest of the 4 daughters, obviously hasn't weighed in. Luis Ruelas has said absolutely nothing. Dolores Catania, Teresa's closest friend, who would normally be expected to at least acknowledge something this significant, hasn't brought it up once on Two Teas in a Pod or anywhere in the media. The entire circle has gone quiet in a coordinated and deliberate way, which suggests very strongly that either the situation is still too legally sensitive to comment on, or that the family has been advised by Kreminski's office to keep absolutely everything off the record until the court date. The only person in the Range extended universe speaking loudly is Kim DePaula, Teresa's longtime adversary, who has never met a controversy she wasn't willing to wade into. Kim D went on Instagram and said she hoped Milania had bitch-slapped Teresa Giudice and Luis Ruelas because they deserved it, and offered to provide legal advice while claiming she had the best lawyer. Kim D has also been circulating information about tension in the household, specifically around whether Milania wants to return to the University of Tampa for her junior year, claiming there have been arguments in the house about this. Whether that situation is connected to what happened on May 14 is speculation at this point. The broader family legal context here cannot be ignored because it shapes everything about how this is being perceived. Teresa Giudice and her then-husband Joe were indicted in July 2013 on a 39-count federal indictment covering conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud, bank fraud, and making false statements on loan applications. Teresa pleaded guilty in 2014 and was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison. She self-surrendered in January 2015 and served 11 months before being released in December 2015. Joe received a 41-month sentence at Allenwood Federal Prison, and upon completing it was held by immigration officials and voluntarily returned to Italy, where he has been living ever since. As of TMZ's most recent reporting, Joe has been living in the Bahamas. He and Teresa share 4 daughters, including Milania, Gia, who is 25, Gabriella, who is 22, and Adriana, who is 16. Teresa remarried Luis Ruelas in August 2022 after they began dating in late 2020. Milania herself has been posting on Instagram stories since the arrest became public, but has addressed none of it directly. She shared an image of a road sign reading, "None of us sits high enough to look down on anybody. Be humble," which fans immediately read as a comment on the situation. She's also posted multiple tributes to Teresa, writing that she hopes her mom never carries the weight of thinking she wasn't enough, and that she could fill pages with the quiet, beautiful ways Teresa shaped her life. The decision to post warmly about her mother while being completely silent about the legal situation is a careful, deliberate choice from someone who is very aware that everything she says publicly right now exists in a legal context. Milania Giudice has a high-powered attorney. The case is sealed. The family is silent. And the Giudice legal history just added another name to an already crowded docket. With a court date approaching next month, answers are coming whether the family is ready to talk or not. Subscribe for every update.